go into my comment. The resolution is an amendment, you said a fourth amendment, to an existing contract that, is this the contract that they do industrial work outside of the Millennium?
Yes, Madam President, Madam Vice President. Yeah, this is an amendment to the broader agreement that we have with the Port Authority, correct?
I want to start off by saying, Madam President, you had mentioned that we did have extensive discussion on Tuesday. Some people watch Tuesday, but some people wait on Thursday for the main event. So I wanted to highlight and make sure that my comments and what I'm saying is not misconstrued. I know when you get into the media, having a degree in communications and concentration in public relations and journalism, they only have so much space, so they've got to do just a sound bite or just a little sentence because they're not able to write the whole context. When we're dealing with the convention center, convention district, convention hotel, and you look at where I'm coming from, I look at these items from the lens of someone who has been the deputy director of tourism for the entire state of Ohio. I look at it from the lens of someone who served on city council in tough times when we had unrest, boycotts, and the lowest occupancy of hotels in the history of Hamilton County. And when no one wanted to come here, and when our Convention and Visitors Bureau person at the time quit and said, I just can't sell this place. And me stepping in, not as the bureau chief, but as someone who wanted to save Cincinnati at that time, and someone who used my own talents, not paid for these things, but wanting to save the city, and went out and traveled and brought in conventions and put together convention packets, and doors were shut in my face. People were cursing me out all over the country, saying, no way am I coming to that city. But over time, I was able to put together a campaign called Cincinnati on the Move. And we were able to bring people together, and we were able to land our first major convention, which was the National Baptist Convention, that I flew to Philadelphia and literally begged them to please come. And then brought others. Once they came, that was the top African-American convention in the country. Once they came, I was able to then go get the Shriners Convention, second largest African-American convention in the country, to come. And then we went on with the NAACP, and then I hosted the meeting planners here in Cincinnati for the first time to come see what we've done. We're working together and we're turning a corner. And we had it at the Freedom Center, where over 700 people came that were meeting planners, and then came the NAACP and Noble and all of these conventions, and then they came back multiple times. So I'm coming from that perspective, and then coming from a perspective of someone who helped to have to vote, should we have a 3CDC? It was never a 3CDC. It was a new concept. And I remember Mr. Leeper flying in from the home of the Steelers and saying, we can do this in Over the Rhine, and voting to form 3CDC to only focus on Over the Rhine, not south of Over the Rhine. So when I come in and I hear the tone that tries to change, that when I ask questions, somehow you're not for progress. I hear that is definitely the wrong tone. I would challenge anyone who have taken a political bullet when people that look like me said, don't come here. And I said, no, we must save this town. We must save this county. I would challenge anyone who would say that they know more than me about expanding a convention center when I was there and expanded this convention center. I would challenge anyone who would challenge me about what it takes to bring conventions when I brought conventions and a lot of money. I would, and in very tough times. I would challenge anyone that would challenge me to say you're not for progress when you wouldn't have half the progress you have if I didn't have to take very tough votes. But where I'm coming from, so we can be very clear, I am not anti-business. I'm pro-small business. I'm pro-women-owned business. I'm pro-African-American and minority business. I'm pro-family business. I'm for the mom and the pops out here that's trying to make it. And so when I came here and the questions that I asked, it comes from expertise. Expertise that's seen the numbers, not just looking at the numbers, but help bring the numbers. I'm here from expertise, not just talking about the Convention Facilities Authority. I help create it. So I'm understanding the business model. So when I come with these questions, I come from a level of expertise, understanding, and experience with results. And I believe that the people that voted for me to be here expect me of, if no one else, to understand and know about these particularities as we're moving into something that will change the trajectory of this city and this county for the next 20 to 30 years. Now, what does that mean? Now, we've given our stuff over to 3CDC. They have admitted that they have never done a convention district, ever. So should they be questioned? Yes. No one is above questioning. When you bring something and you put it in a newspaper and we ain't seen it, Commissioner Dumas, president, had talked about that on another issue. That's not respectful. We deserve respect. I want to say that the reason that I have issues with this particular issue, and now we're just dealing with the Millennium Hotel, which I was not an elected official of the Hamilton County or anywhere else at that particular time, or at least Hamilton County. I may have been somewhere else. With that being said, if I was here, maybe it would have been a different deal. Maybe I could have asked those questions where I have expertise in. Maybe I could have said, why don't look this way or look that way, because I have experience in it. I was not here to do that. But I question today, this has gone to court. The courts have had who's right and who's wrong. You know, one group said they right, another one said they right. The courts have determined who's right. The court also determined that Hamilton County is not on the hook. The Hamilton County taxpayers, there was no judgment against the Hamilton County taxpayers. The judge did not say that there's a judgment that Hamilton County must pay. The court did not say that Hamilton County must pay this money. The court did not determine in the contract that some contract said that Hamilton County has to pay this money. The court did not determine that Hamilton County must pay the legal fees of the Port Authority. Now, I wasn't here. I don't know who said what, and John said this, and Tommy said that, and somebody else said something. But today I'm asked to make a vote. And what I'm seeing, Mr. Administrator, is that no other business would ever get this type of treatment. We wouldn't do it for a small business that's struggling out here. They go to court every day on stuff. We ain't paying their bills. We wouldn't do it for a small woman-owned business. They go to court. That's what business is. I grew up in business. There's court stuff all the time. We wouldn't pay it for them. We even put in other contracts, which I don't know why it's not in this one. We indemnify the county, the government, if you get sued. Now we're back with this same contract. Now, the reason I want to say about this same contract, some people are going to say, well, this just the millennium, and let's, keep moving. No, this contract doesn't say millennium. This is the contract that we have with the Port Authority that we pay them $800,000 every year. We pay them $2 million to buy other property, and all we're doing is amending this contract. And even when I ask, can you please, in the future, change the contract and put indemnification, which means that the taxpayers are not on the hook if they get sued, they don't want to put it in here. But any other business that does business with this county, you have you have a clause in there that says that the county is not on the hook if you get sued. We just did a contract with the Black Music Walk of Fame, a company, they got it in there. If that company gets sued, the taxpayers are not on the hook. Now, I'm concerned that this is not just about this. This ain't $5 million. This is almost, I don't know, maybe 7 million when we get done with it. It ain't about just this. If they go out and do another deal, because they represent us, we got to pay their court fees, we got to pay their legal fees, we got to pay millions of dollars. We are providing nothing to protect the taxpayers of Hamilton County. If you are another, we do business all the time with nonprofits, all the time. But if they get in trouble, they got to pay their own money. You might be watching, you have a nonprofit. You get sued, you got to pay your own legal fees. You do business with us, we're gonna have that clause to say that we are held harmless, the taxpayers, if you get sued. So what makes it different when we come with the Port Authority, who is a nonprofit that does not pay taxes at all? And now we're on the hook. So then I said, well, wait a minute, if we pay this, can you put it like you do at a bank? A bank give you a loan, they're on your deed. So if something happens, they get some money. If you sell it and you haven't paid them off, they get their money. I was told we can't do that because we want to protect the taxpayers. So I'm confused about how is it an unelected nonprofit that doesn't pay taxes could come in, say they represent us on other stuff too. So every time they get sued, we got to pay their legal fees, which we did. I voted against it. $800,000 in legal fees. Taxpayers. Number two, if they lose in court, we now, and the court didn't even say we're liable. We got to now pay the taxpayers, and we're taking it out of the general fund first, and we hope to pay it back. We got to pay that. Then when I asked over at the Millennium, do we own the land? The administrator tells me we don't even own it. And then when I said, well, can we help decide what go on it? No. So I'm more interested in the process, that this can never happen again. The bottom line is the Port Authority dropped the ball. We wasn't in there. We can't say what they said because none of us was in there. Administrator said he wasn't in there. Commissioners, well, they weren't in there. So they dropped the ball and we pick up the tab. So that's where I'm coming from. But to try to put something out that Commissioner Reece don't know business, that's laughable. To put something out, Commissioner Reece don't know economic development, please. Half the stuff we walking around, I done voted for and help get going in tough times. To walk around and say, she doesn't know anything about booking and we got to book hotels, please. My record speaks for itself. Hotel, I done book more nights than anybody who ain't working there. And some people that are working there, I done book more room nights. So I understand this. It's very technical. It all works together. They say, oh, pay this and it'll be over. It ain't over. Who authorized tearing it down? President Dumas raised a great question. Who authorized? I wasn't here, but who authorized tearing it down, which put us in this situation? And then when you tear it down, I understand that it's some more remediation that's got to go, because when you tore it down, you didn't tear it down properly. So we can't put too much over there. So I wanted to make sure that my comments are clear. I've always been for progress. It's about how do you do it? We've got progress where we move out people from neighborhoods and we jump up and say we made progress. Is that progress when another group of people had to be thrown out? I'm interested in the right type of progress. So that's why I'm asking the questions that I ask. With that being said, I wanted to just be clear. When they say she for business, I'm for business. So everybody says she for business. Who is she? She's for small businesses, women-owned businesses, African-American minority businesses, family-owned businesses, mom and pop businesses. I'm looking for one set of rules. If they got to pay for lawyers, if they got to pay when they go to court, if they got to pay for the land, why do we have a not-for-profit who pays zero taxes come in, get a contract that doesn't protect the taxpayers, and then we're telling them after we pay this, you will still represent us. We won't own the land. We have no rights to any land that you ever get. And then, by the way, if you drop the ball again, we'll pay your legal fees. We'll pay millions of dollars, even though the court of law says that we are not liable. And this is why I had an issue, because this is not a millennium resolution. This is a resolution to their amendment to their contract that they already have to continue to do that work with no additional protections. If we had additional protections, maybe I would say I'll go with this one time. But because this can happen again, and this has set a precedence of behavior, I cannot go with it at this time. Lastly, I want you to put up on this board 3CDC, and this is the future. You say, what about the future? I wanted everybody to see what I have concerns with. This was presented to us. On there, you see the Millennium site. Out of the convention district, the only thing we own is over here on the right-hand side that's circled. Now, Madam President brought to our attention, it's more than 39 million. I gave a small thing. 39 million, it's tied to the transient occupancy tax, the hotel motel tax portion that the county oversees. 39 million to buy it. It was more to tear it down. I think it's about 54 million, as Madam President pointed out, that is a debt that has to be paid back. In the end, the county does not own the property. It's owned by the Port Authority, who transferred it to the land bank that, by the way, they're over the land bank. Okay, so they own it. Then you go here at the bottom, they put a picture. They didn't even ask us, what would you like to see there? You see that? Picnic tables and umbrellas. We don't make no money off of it. So it's an open space, no money, can't make our money back. Tables, umbrellas, music, and so forth. 3CDC, what they do really well at, they go out and get sponsors so we can have free entertainment, but the county gets $0 back, no money maker coming back to us. Then at the top, it's already got a name, Elm Street Park. I didn't vote on it being no park. The people thought we were going to get a hotel to make money. So that's why I have and they already talking about closing the street. They said that's already a done deal. So this is why I have the questions that I have for the future. And I hope that we'll be able to have some input so that we don't get something that says take it or leave it. So with that, Madam President, I'll turn it back over, but those were the issues. And I just wanted, and I'm not, anybody else can have their own opinion. Commissioner Driehaus was here and was in more discussions than I had. I wasn't here. I wasn't able to get into it. But from what I'm seeing from the outside, this is the situation and why I cannot vote for this pattern that puts the county taxpayers at risk for even future deals. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Driehaus.
Thank you. So thank you for bringing this forward to us. I know it's a timely matter and we've got to take care of it. As we discussed on Tuesday, I take the long view on this payment and on everything that we've done related to the Millennium, to the Convention Center District, that we are all in agreement on, we're all working on together with the city. But the long view is that we were presented with a situation, and I was fairly new to the commission at the time, but we had a languishing convention center district. It had been languishing for decades. And we had done studies, the CVB had done studies in conjunction with the business community to better understand why we were so far behind our competitive set. And it became very clear that the Millennium Hotel was at the center of that. And it stood in the way of us having a five-flag headquarter hotel, because it should have been the headquarter hotel, but didn't function in that way because it was not a hotel that people wanted to stay in. And so we were not getting conventions for that reason. And it also stood in the way of any kind of expansion of the exhibit space, which was a primary concern of the study and of folks that bring conventions into cities. And they said our exhibit space is much smaller than our competitive set. So we had these two things on the table that we knew were hindering us from moving forward in the convention center district. And so without control of the Millennium, we had no hope of improving our situation and bringing that economic activity and the jobs into our county. And so we aggressively went after the Millennium Hotel. It happened for years before I got here. It was happening when I did get here. I know Commissioner Portun was involved in some of that. And finally, we had an opportunity to get control of the hotel. And nobody's going to debate it. There was an investment made by the county. And to me, you know, the city and the county both identified this with the business community and the CVB as the primary thing we needed to do, one of our top priorities. And the county stepped up. We invested our TOT dollars. The TOT dollars are meant to support convention center, the industry, and that's the reason for the waterfall, and that's the reason those funds exist. And so we invested our TOT dollars to get control of the Millennium site, and that's what we did. We partnered with the Port Authority because they have expertise when it comes to gaining land, to holding land, and so they became our partner in this with the city of Cincinnati and others. And so we entered into an agreement with them to make sure that the deal got done. And during that time, there were some investments that were made, obviously just for the hotel itself, for the acquisition, for the demolition. And we had an agreement with the broker. There was what was called a finder's fee at the time. We paid for that. And all of us thought that was due, and that was fine. That was the price of doing business. But there was this other caveat out there. It's this $5 million that said if the land, or if it were to be developed, if anything were to be developed on this land, then we would have to pay that $5 million. We have not developed anything on that land. We have done demolition on that land. And so we felt fairly confident, as did our legal team, that we were in good stead there. Well, we got sued by the broker, and it went to court, and the judge determined that demolition equals development. That is a decision I will continue to disagree with. I think many of us continue to disagree with, but as has been said, there's nothing we can do about that. Someone else made that decision. And so the $5 million then came back into play. So the port, it is correct to say the port is the one that was sued, but they acted as our agent. They acted as our partner. And so the $5 million is again forwarded through the general fund, expectation being paid back through the TOT, which is the appropriate funding source, so that we can put this to bed, get it behind us, and continue to move forward, because that's what we need to do. And all three of us signed a resolution with the entire city of Cincinnati Council to say that we want 3CDC to act again as our partner and move this project forward, look at this as a campus, which includes the Millennium site, the convention center, the parking lot across the street, the parking garage across the street, Convention Place, and look at it as a campus, as a district, so that we are not piecemealing what does the city own, what does the county own, what does the port own. We're not doing that. We're working in collaboration with the city and our other partners to present a plan that moves this district forward. And we've got it in phases because we can't afford it all at once. And the first phase includes the renovation of the convention center. It does not yet include the expansion of the exhibit space, but I know it is anticipated at some point in time. That's something that we're looking towards. We know we need to do that in order to compete with and be part of the competitive set. And so that is what's in front of us today. This is a piece of this overall plan. It's one of the, I hope it's the final piece. And so I'm willing to support it. I think we need to do this. We understood the investment when we made it. And so this is the last piece of paying down that investment and moving the rest of the project forward with the city and 3CDC and our other partners.
Thank you.
Can I make a correction?
Mhm.
Just want to say that all three of us did not sign. I did not sign on. Was not comfortable at the time. I thought it was rushed. Still waiting on more information, but I did not sign on to 3CDC. I did say I'll wait to see what they.
I apologize. if I
Okay, no,
missed it.
yeah,
Did
no.
you- Did
no
you
worries.
vote? You voted on,
I did not vote for.
all
it.
right. Did you,
I abstained and
You
wanted
abstained.
more information
Okay.
and still waiting.
I apologize. I misunderstood.
And then the other thing is that it did, it didn't just go to one court. It was appealed and two courts upheld it. My last thing is the PAC want to say that this is over. My understanding is not over. There are other things out there. Is this over, Mr. Aludo? Will we never see this again? No requests from the Port Authority in the future regarding any expense dealing with demolition or dealing with the court or dealing with this situation? Is this it?
This represents the judgment and the interest on the judgment. That's all I can speak to at this time. So I'm not going to sit here and say definitively one way or the other, whether there's anything related to the millennium that will come up later or not. But this is the cost of the judgment related to that fee and the interest on it. So this is that judgment.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's important. This is not it. There's some other things that's my concern. But anyway, just wanted to make sure about the signing. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Dreehouse, for acknowledging that.
I thought you had voted
I
for it. Sorry.
appreciate that. And then also that it wasn't at one court, but two courts. And both courts determined that Hamilton County, I'd asked the administrator, did they ask Hamilton County to testify? They said no. They asked Hamilton County, was anything written saying Hamilton County was a part of this? The answer was no. I was asked that because a lot of people love to sue us. Was Hamilton County even in the suit? They said no. So I just wanted to say that two courts, not one, but two, upheld this particular decision. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to adopt by leave 10.
Second.
Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Yes,
Commissioner Dreehouse.
Yes.
Commissioner Reese.
No.
thank you. Okay,